The National Interfaith Council of South Africa is working with the newly convened Sustainable Mining Legacy Foundation and wishes to invite South Africans to participate in the Marikana Reconciliation Process initiative. The Marikana Reconciliation Process hopes to initiate a healing and reconciliation for all victims following the 2012 Marikana tragedy that left 44 people dead, many injured, and some are all still grieving and some were arrested. But to give us an insight into this new initiative, we joined in our studios in Johannesburg by Tendani Muchai, who is the convener of the Marikana Reconciliation Process. And and thank you so much for coming through. Now, why has it taken so long? I mean, 5 years after the tragedy occurred in Marikana. Why only now this process?
When I started, I also asked myself why it has taken this very long to have this kind of a process taking place. But then through engagement with different stakeholders, we identified that you have different stakeholders doing things in silo. So it kind of makes things a little bit hard to be united and common. So we thought it's best that we convene a process that will allow different stakeholders to be able to participate, but not only affected stakeholders, but also the public. Because when you talk about the Marikana, you don't only just talking about the people that were affected in Marikana, but it's quite a national situation.
Yeah, and of course there was a Farlam commission investigating the tragedy. This process, how different is it going to be? Because you talk about involving all the stakeholders, which means it's everyone who would want to participate, right?
Okay, true, what you're saying. But in each and every situation, there are obviously key stakeholders that are playing major roles in that kind of involvement. What we've done in the past few months, we've been meeting with key stakeholders, including the Presidency, Department of Mineral Resources, South African Police Services. There were also other people that are based in Marikana that we're currently meeting. The process has not stopped, it's ongoing. We're hoping to meet the Marikana-based stakeholders in the future, obviously in the nearest future. So that's the whole process. And the idea behind this is to try and get as much input and contribution from all the stakeholders. It's very important that when you're doing a process of this nature, that you get everyone's input, you get everyone's view, and then obviously you let the situation, the process lead things.
But what kind of views do you think you're going to get, for instance, from the widows who are still living in dire situation in Marikana? I mean, surely you would agree with me that the situation that they find themselves living in is dire.
You're quite right. What we're also hoping to do when we say public participation, when I say public, I mean almost everyone. We're talking about professionals that do work in the social and community space that might be able to have some solutions for people that need support, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's town hall meetings, or whether it's counseling. We're trying to get those kind of situations to unfold. But then also, what is quite interesting is that this past week, we have received an interest of support from Wits University. They do have a law clinic, which might also be able to tap into the situation and try to assist some of the widows, because they are dependents that I see trying to claim for some of the losses that they have incurred as dependents.
Yeah, but you would also agree with me that it's going to be quite a difficult process to unfold. I mean, so who do you have on board? Because if you talk about healing, it's not necessarily something that would go away overnight.
True that. This is not a very easy task to do. It's quite challenging, basically. When I was busy engaging stakeholders myself, I knew what kind of I wanted to put down, but then also I needed to go and find people with the right skill set. Hence, the National Interfaith Council of South Africa is getting involved, because they have the all religions South Africa under one umbrella. They also have the moral authority to be able to do some of the things. They're widely accepted because they do have traditional leaders and traditional or healers. Yeah.
But do you really think that the people of Marikana will come on board? I mean, we've seen what happened recently. They would not allow anyone into their area, as they say that they're still sort of healing. Have you consulted with them before coming up with this initiative? Because those are the people at the center stage of this process.
I spent quite some time in Marikana myself as part of this stakeholders engagement. Well, I could not obviously meet with everyone, but the reason why I've taken this task and then also gone to facilitate and approach other people to be with me was because these kind of things were expressed. People have expressed that we need to have some kind of a healing and reconciliation process. They might not necessarily be sure how to do that, but then obviously through this process, we're hoping that we may be able to deliver exactly what they're requesting.
Yeah. So if you could put a time on this process, how long do you think it will go on for?
We give ourselves a turnaround time of 6 months to be able to deliver a standard reconciliation event. What we're hoping to do is to have all the victims, the dependents, and all the key stakeholders in one place. Obviously, we will have a program to do that. And then obviously there are also some programs that we're hoping to announce as part of the legacy project of this. Yeah. Because we're looking at this from a more holistic approach. We're not trying to do a once-off thing and then blah, everyone goes away. But we're trying to hope that we can use Marikana as a catalyst to be able to usher in more responsible and sustainable best practices within mining towns. And we're also hoping that we can use Marikana as a best practice to replicate it in other industries like taxi industry with the fight and stuff like that. So it could be a best practice. It could be a best lesson that can be.
Just a quick one, because you got to spend some time in the area. What do you think is the first step into this healing and reconciliation process? What do you think needs to be addressed ASAP?
SAP, community need to be listened. You need to give people the platform to express themselves. People need to be heard, because what is happening now, they feel that they've been deserted. No one is listening to them. There's not been leadership, from government, which they've been hoping for. So they feel that they need to be listening, they need to make suggestions, and some people need to go out there and account.
All right. Now we'll leave it at that. Amanda.
Ndizon.
Thank you so much to Tendani Muchai, who's the convener of the Marikana Reconciliation Process Initiative. They're inviting all South Africans to join in this reconciliation process following the tragedy of 5 years ago. At 7 o'clock, it's time for your news at 7, and Leanne has all the details. Oh, it's me. All right. Let's take a look at top story for this morning.